This is the single most important hormone of sleep apnea that can not only transform your breathing, your snoring, your sleep, your brain fog, but also like your body composition. And this is something that I had to learn the hard way. When I was dealing with my own sleep apnea issues, my numbers were pretty bad, moderate, pretty exhausted all the time. And yes, I did many of the breathing exercises that I share on this channel and elsewhere, but I was still struggling tremendously. So that's when took upon myself, inspired by the research. I was doing my PhD program at the time. And that's when I stumbled into how important hormones are for impacting sleep because they actually target the root cause of sleep apnea if you look at them the right way and you know which ones to actually target and modulate. So, as part of my overall plan, that was a part of me accelerating, getting to a point where 18 months later, and don't worry, it won't take you that long, but for me to be able to get to a point of where I got to no sleep apnea, CPAP therapy not indicated. By the way, anything less than 5 is no sleep apnea. So this molecule is DHEA. I'm not going to make you wait for like another 3 minutes to know what that is. You now know, but now you need to know, why is this important? How do you know if you need it? And how can you go about implementing that? So first, though, don't worry. This is not like a secret thing to like. And by the way, here's my special DHEA. Okay, we're going to be a lot of bit more useful for you. So, in this episode, we are going to discuss why DHEA is the most important hormone of sleep apnea in a comprehensive protocol on how to best use it. And of course, if you're here, hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date and help get this message out to the world so more people have more ways to deal with their sleep apnea and have more life back. And in case maybe you don't know me, maybe you do. But either way, reminder, Dr. Dylan Peck is here. So, sleep apnea, DHEA. Oh, why is this even possible that a hormone can be helpful? So, yes, sleep apnea, there's some mechanical things going on. Yes. But our body's metabolism is going to be linked to how bad that anatomy can be and how worrisome or the consequences of it. So, there's going to be three here. Number one, inflammation. So when you have sleep apnea, you're going to go through these cycles of breathing and not breathing at night, or breathing very little, and that's going to cut your body off from oxygen. And when the oxygen levels come back, that's what leads to massive amounts of oxidation inside of your cells. That leads to inflammation. Inflammation is like fire inside of your cells. It's not good because then it leads to all these other problems, especially in your nervous system. And then as a result, it will make your sleep apnea worse. And then you'll have more inflammation. And then your sleep apnea gets worse. And it's this endless cycle in a bad way. Okay. So DHEA, and by the way, there will be one point where I make a mistake and say like DHA or something like that. If you mishear me, because, well, I guess you heard me correctly. I misspoke. But either way, I will always mean DHEA. I'm just saving myself in the comments later. So DHEA can break this inflammatory cycle. Even without dealing with the breathing aspect, obviously you still want to do that, right? So how it breaks it down, we're going to skip all this biochemical alphabet soup. All you need to know is that DHEA will lead to stimulating your body's anti-inflammatory response. And that's why DHEA not only will help reduce the inflammation and break this cycle, but also it will help slow down the aging process because it's able to activate that anti inflammatory pathway in our cells. So that's number one. Number two is balancing your hormones. So sleep apnea pretty much lowers all the hormones, all of them. A big part of that is because your cells are just like in this state of disarray and it's not going to prioritize making hormones when you're just trying to get through a day and like stay awake. Okay, you're in survival mode. You're not planning for long-term thriving. So as a result, your body just shuts down the production of them. Not completely, but it does go lower. So if you want to look at that exact data here, here's a study, snore, science, I get it, but gotta have it to make sure that I'm not just saying stuff on the internet. And what they found is that when you give DHEA to people who aren't sleeping very well, and particularly they did this in postmenopausal women, still applies to men. All right. When you give DHEA, it actually improves sleep and helps normalize hormones. So they've shown this here, and there's other studies that show the same thing. Just don't want to like hit you over the head with like 19 different studies at once. And you may be wondering, like, how is this even possible? That's a good question. Because if you look, and this is really important, this is like beyond important. Because yes, these hormones are low testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen. However, if you just give these to someone who has sleep apnea, it's been shown that whether it's testosterone, progesterone, or estrogen, that can actually make sleep apnea worse. So we want to do it in a different way. And that way is DHEA. I'm not sure if that rhymes, but it's close enough for me to feel somewhat clever. The reason DHEA can correct those hormones is because when you stick DHEA, which would be this molecule here, if you put it in this biochemical pathway of hormone production, I should probably explain what the heck this graph is. I assume you know what this is. So this is showing how our body fundamentally makes hormones. Sit with me here, we'll get to the good stuff. Cholesterol comes in, and then it goes down these different pathways, much like water flowing down the banks of a river. It can go this way to progesterone. It can go that way to DHEA, or all the way to testosterone, or the estrogens over here in this pink triangle. Now, if you supply a lot of stuff at this point in the river, it does two things, just like a normal river. It will backflow a little bit. So if we go up here, this will backflow and you'll get more progesterone. And then it will also lead to more flow downstream. And that's how you end up with normalizing testosterone and estrogen. And by nature of doing this indirectly, if you will, it will lead to fewer side effects. And as a result, sleep is better, you're happier, healthier, and all of that. And number three, probably the most direct way, is that DHEA, which I'll let you try to pronounce that by yourself. DHEA is involved in the production of nitric oxide. Now, that's a buzzword in the sleep apnea and breathing space. Nitric oxide, which is the miracle molecule. It's a miracle because it's no. Okay, no is the pathway to a better life, saying no to many things. But in all seriousness, nitric oxide, it expands vessels, whether it is a blood vessel, and then indirectly, it also leads to the expansion of airway vessels. I know usually don't say that, but tubes in your body in which air flows. That's even less common here. But nonetheless, nitric oxide is essential to allow your nasal passages to open up ever so slightly for easier nasal breathing. And if you've been on the internet for more than like 37 minutes, you may know that nasal breathing allows for better sleep quality because you're breathing better and it will reduce apnea events and snoring. So anything that improves nasal breathing, such as me waving my hands frantically talking about nitric oxide, that will improve sleep apnea. And then another thing that we won't get into the nitty gritty of, still important though, is that nitric oxide will allow for better oxygen exchange in your lungs. Very important. So that the air you are breathing in, you actually get more oxygen out of it, in the simplest way of putting it. So altogether, that's why DHEA, when we look at it in terms of people who have sleep apnea versus don't, in sleep apnea, it's way lower. So that's why in many people, when you just replete it a little bit, it can improve sleep apnea symptoms. Not gonna fully reverse it by itself. If you're here, you may have caught on, it's never any one thing that improves your sleep apnea and gets rid of it. And sometimes it does. Okay, I'll be honest. There will be some people maybe in the comments like, oh yeah, I did this, and like everything was better, and I did backflips and blah 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 blah. That's true. But it all stacks together. You want to attack this from as many angles as possible. So we're on the cutting edge of science with this and talking about hormones and sleep apnea. So let's talk about what you actually need to consider with this. And right before we do, if you're enjoying and having a fun time, I know I am, at least, please go ahead and subscribe. When you click that button, make sure that all the other future episodes that I'm doing, which is like I think 22 a day, those will be served to you ever so deliciously by your phone or however the heck you're viewing this. So click that button. And then also by doing so, that tells, hey, YouTube, people are finding this very useful and helpful. And then you can be a part of helping other people who feel like they don't have good options with sleep apnea to have more hope and more control and agency in their own health. So thank you in advance for just clicking that button or navigating with your Roku remote there. Now, for considerations, let's dive into this, shall we? First, you're about to be disclaimed. This is for educational purposes only. Capiche? I know it doesn't say capiche, but I'm saying capiche to you. This is my research, also my experiences. This is not advice from me to you. It's not. This is information, goes in your head. Boom. And then you need to have that discussion with your healthcare provider about applying this information. Failure to do so is at your own risk. I think I covered all my bases. Now, testing. Like I say many times, anytime you are tracking something, like a blood metabolite or something, or any other bodily fluid, you need to be willing to do it twice, before and after. Otherwise, you're kind of just guessing. So you want to be looking for DHEA sulfate. That's the more important thing to look at. And in terms of testing that, there are many different options. This would be my preference in actually assessing what is biofunctionally available in your body. And then what we want to look for is, where are you in reference to optimal ranges? And these ranges will vary widely. I took these numbers from LabCorp and inside a particular age group. Now, you may not be someone who is 20 to 30 years old. And in fact, 70% of you are over, I think, 35 on this channel, to double check. So why am I referencing this younger age group? Well, quite simply, the research has shown is that in these upper 2/3 of this age group, this is associated with reversing a lot of the problems that we talked about. So this is something from the longevity research, if you will, or the hormone replacement people. So there's your fun numbers for reference. And then again, in those studies, I'm not saying go ahead and do this. In these studies, what they typically do is around these numbers, 25 to 50 milligrams per day. Orally is one, but there's also many other ways, whether it's creams or sublingual tablets. Your local family friendly compounding pharmacy can help you out with that. You can, and one thing that may not be clear for me talking about in this fashion is that DHEA as a oral supplement is actually available like on Amazon, right? I mean, that's how I got it way back when. And then as someone is using this, you want to be able to track your symptoms. So whether you are tracking your oxygen levels at night, you're tracking how you feel during the day, you get an Oura ring, you want to be able to have some sort of handle on like, what is the physiological response on this? Because you can retest and be like all scientifically great, but if the numbers are changing, but like how you feel is not shifting, then we did not target the right thing. There's other things involved that may be complicating, confounding, and need to be looked at as well. So I know that was a fire hose of information. That's kind of like the general style of this channel. Let me just like tell you as much as I can. So that's why I also make a free guide for you where covering the stuff we just talked about, but also some exclusive information that we did not, because I want to make these episodes nice, short, and digestible for you. And I just don't want to read a list of stuff to you. And I know you're going to take notes, and I know it's easier to have it just like in the PDF. So why not just do that? So that's what we have for you. And of course, we also have the Sleep Apnea Reset Protocol Workshop, because if you want to take all the knowledge from this channel and also accelerate improving your breathing at night so you're having less snoring, you're able to feel a lot better in the morning, way faster, that is there for you. And button will be somewhere on the screen, I think in the lower left. Not exactly sure. Well, I think I have a screenshot of that. So if we're getting either one of them, pretty simple. So in the description box, like there's some text underneath this video, allegedly, there definitely is. Whether on your phone, you can just press the title, it will pop up the box, so it'll get there. Or if you're on Roku, you like click up and down and then left, right, and then you get cheat codes. That was a Nintendo Entertainment Syndrome. Not Entertainment Syndrome. Wow. System. I guess after a while it becomes a syndrome. And you'll find the links for both the guide and the Sleep Apnea Reset Protocol Workshop. And of course, there's that little icon beneath everything. And then, of course, just to make things super easy, because I know you may be watching this on your TV, you may just want to enter in a link onto your browser, whether it's your laptop, tablet, phone. To get the free guide, ochnow.com/DHEA. For the reset guide, ochnow.com/reset. And all these weird looking art forms, those are QR codes. You can just take your phone, boom, and then, you know, open the camera app, scan one of those, press the button, and you're off to the races. And of course, the ultimate race is to subscribe to the channel. But more importantly, get either of these or not. Entirely up to you. So thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Delpecus, and I'll see you soon.